Hello, everyone. We are just about to begin the broadcast. And thank you for joining us today. So you should see in full screen on the first page my slides. I'm joined with my colleague Yi. Yi, if you could just help me by confirming that that you can see my slides, and I'll go ahead and unmute you. Give us a second. Okay. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not able to unmute you, so apologies for that. And today, unfortunately, some technical difficulties with the Hangout on Air. What I'm going to do is, if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat window, but we don't have a Q&A section, unfortunately, available. Okay. So I'll go ahead and begin. And welcome, everyone. Thanks again for joining us. What we're going to talk to you today is about the Chrome opportunity for apps resellers. And my name is Richard Shea. I've worked in strategic partnerships at Google, and I've been at Google now for the last 6 years. And I spent most of my time at Google working with apps resellers and Chrome resellers. And I began my career at Google in Asia, where I spent 4 years. And I work very closely with the apps resellers out there, including GoPomelo and Matrix Connection and PointStar and a number of others. And then I came to the U.S. and worked in the devices business, both in education and work. And so I have a good understanding of how these partners work and how they build a business around our products. And if you look at the education market, where we've been highly successful in Chrome, if we wind the clocks back to 2012, you would have been sort of doubting that Chromebooks that were going to be successful, if you're like most people, because it was a question mark product. It didn't really have any traction. We had a few % market share, and no one really knew whether this was going to work. But a few partners made a big bet, and they realized that there is a big potential for this new product, in education in particular. They got on board, and they are part of this amazing, phenomenal journey we've been on. And they built hundreds of millions or even billion-dollar businesses off the back of this new solution in the market. And we've seen that in education. We're now seeing that in work. Now, the industry drivers are different, but the fundamentals are the same in terms of how we're now crossing the chasm and starting to see large customers like Starbucks and Kohl's and Woolworths coming on board using Chromebook for a variety of different use cases that are just really well suited for Chrome devices in comparison to the alternative technology in the market. So then this is now the opportunity we present to you, and I'm going to share with you a little bit of insight around how you can build a business around a Chromebook and some of the specific use cases out there, as well as the differentiators for Chromebooks themselves. So now you're all very familiar with the apps pitch, and the Chrome pitch is fundamentally very similar, because it's all about how we're no longer working the way we used to. We're not tethered to one location. We need to have access to all of our information anywhere, anytime. And just the same way we have that opportunity with Google Apps, we also have that with Chrome devices. Because just as you used to manage, or rather migrate users off of the legacy technology with Google Apps for Work, you're now starting to see the same opportunity in devices for work for many of the same fundamental reasons. So, for example, when you are talking to a customer about their existing platforms, they're probably going to be managing multiple platforms, multiple images of the operating system. They're going to have to manage the viruses, the software updates, the hardware updates, and patching it constantly. And so they have this huge stack of software and hardware just to manage that endpoint. And that becomes incredibly burdensome to the point where they can't really do anything else. They end up spending most of their time keeping the lights on. And so even though you might have freed up a lot of their time with Google Apps for Work, that's only part of the journey. They really need your help to help get rid of a lot of this other legacy hardware and software that they're dealing with for their endpoint devices. And so we really need a new set of tools. And Chrome for Work has a variety of different products as well as use cases and according to different form factors that will fit those use cases. So first, there's the primary device, and this is one that we're going to spend most of our time talking about today, just as a natural fit for apps partners. Today, we have 25 million users, paid users on Google Apps for Work. Of those paid users, 75% are already using a Chrome browser, but only 1% are on Chrome today. So we have this huge runway of users that are clearly already very familiar with how the Google technology works and how to manage the Google platform, and they're very familiar with the brand, obviously, and there's some love for the brand there. And so moving over from using the Chrome browser with Google Apps and just making the next step to the device, it's very seamless. It'll be sort of a non-event for a lot of these customers, but it's a big opportunity for you as a partner. Now, there's these other solutions such as Chromebox for meetings and kiosks and signage that will require specialist skills. You won't necessarily be able to build a business tomorrow around these unless you already have, for example, audio-visual installation expertise, as you'll need for Chromebox for meetings, or perhaps the right content development and content management and app development skills that you would need for things like kiosk and signage. Those tend to be specialist business. You could either go back-to-back with another partner, or you could build a practice around that. But I'd say off the shelf, the primary device into your existing install base is the most obvious first point of entry for you as a new Chrome partner. So now we're going to talk about how this Chromebooks are fundamentally different, both in terms of how they're different from the previous versions of Chromebook, as well as they are from the rest of the market. So when we look at Chromebooks for Work and the success we had, in particular in education, you would have seen that the devices we had for education, they were really meant for a simple device for students. They didn't necessarily meet the needs of the enterprise. Now with Chromebooks for Work, we built a solution from the ground up with the enterprise in mind. And we based that on customer feedback. They said, well, we fundamentally need a Chromebook with all the advantages of Chromebook, but also with all the features that we expect for the enterprise, including VPN support, virtualization options, integration with existing printers and file storage, and various other features. And we took all that feedback and we built that into the product. So now we launched something that's enterprise ready from day one. So let's talk about how Chrome OS is different than really anything else out there. It's really a paradigm shift from a variety of different ways. And the consistent feedback that we get from customers that Chromebooks are based on this paradigm. They're just more secure. They're much faster than a traditional device, such as a traditional PC or laptop. They're much more simple, both for the end user as well as for IT to manage them. And they're instantly shareable. There's no hassles from sharing a device between users or sharing a device with a guest without affecting the privacy and integrity of those users. So first, in terms of security, we sat down with Randy First, the IT director at Logitech, and he described the experience his users as sort of initially they got nervous when they either lost a device or a device was broken, and then they very quickly realized how easy it was to restore all their information and make sure that it was secure with a Chromebook. And this is why Chromebook has a fundamentally different approach to security. When you look at the way Chromebook ensures security, it starts off with the fact that Chrome just doesn't allow you to install executables in the same way that you would, let's say, on a traditional laptop. The Chrome OS goes through something called a verified boot. If it sees that there's anything that's been tampered with the Chrome OS or the browser or anything on the Chromebook, it'll verify that and then re-image the Chromebook with the latest version of the operating system. And it all does this in a matter of seconds. And then it also has this concept of sandboxing. That means that, let's say if some sort of malware got into a tab in the browser, the other tabs in the browser and the kernel itself will remain unaffected. That malware is effectively sandboxed in that one location. And also comes any user profile information that's cached on the Chromebook is automatically encrypted, so that if another user were to log into that same device, they wouldn't have access to any of the information from the previous users. In terms of simplicity, this is a quote from Greg Heyer, the IT support manager at Onyx Networking Group. He says it just simply works, and this is very consistent feedback from customers. They don't require lots of additional software, lots of different setup time. They often refer to this concept of a touchless deployment. So in other words, you can take the over 120 policies that you can push out to your end users, and you can push out apps and policies all from one simple admin console. Also, Chromebooks are just faster than anything out there. The speed of the device is by far the one thing that everyone notices. A Chromebook will boot up faster than a typical laptop would from sleep mode, and that's coming from a standing start. So that within less than 8 seconds, you're off and running and ready to go with all your apps and all your policies automatically following you wherever you're working. And the verified boot actually can take as little as 6 seconds. You compare that to an average of 3 minutes for a PC. And how many times have you all been in a meeting where you're waiting for your traditional laptop to boot up? In the meantime, you're sort of stalling for time, sort of waiting to give your presentation when your technology is just sort of getting in the way. In Chromebooks, I walk into a meeting, turn on my Chromebook, and within a few seconds, I'm ready to go instantly. And the Chromebook is just extremely reliable in this way. And I used to use a Mac, so Google issued me a corporate Mac. And once I got a Pixel, it took me about 3 or 4 days of using the Pixel, where all of a sudden I literally forgot about my Mac. It's sitting in a drawer of my desk. And it really serves no additional purpose or additional value. And it's, quite frankly, overkill for what I need. Chromebook does everything I need, and it does it arguably much better than my previous device. And finally, the way Chromebooks are designed is they're made to be easily shared. You have this concept of a user policy. Effectively, it follows the user wherever they go, like a roaming profile. So that means I could use really any Chromebook, and I have the same user experience. All my apps, my links, and all the policies that have been pushed out to me will be true for whatever Chromebook I use. And then all my data is automatically backed up to Google's cloud, the same way all your information is backed up with Google Apps. And also with guest mode, I can easily share a Chromebook with someone who doesn't even need a username and login, and they won't have access to any of my information. It's all done with a couple clicks. So let's take a look at a few of these use cases and examples of customers who've been successful implementing Chromebooks. And one of the first great brand names we got on board was Netflix. Netflix had an interesting challenge. They basically had this issue where they needed to very quickly spin up call center agents. They were responding to a massive amount of inbound demand, and they needed to get new staff onboarded almost instantaneously. So they had a few options. They could try to go the traditional route with a Microsoft platform, or they could look at potentially using Chromebook and to see if there is an advantage in terms of speed of deployment. And that's the huge advantage that they saw. They're able to spin up agents and push out apps and push out policies with really a couple clicks without touching any of the Chromebooks. So this agent could be in one of their offices or could be a virtual call center agent anywhere in the country, and they would have that same instant on experience without ever touching the device. Another example is Auberge Resorts, and the reason I really like this example is that it shows you a couple different use cases for Chromebook. Now, the Auberge, they moved all their users, their internal users, to Google Apps with Chromebooks, and of course, the Chromebooks just naturally work extremely well with Google Apps. It's just very much a seamless experience using Google Apps, and it's all sort of all the best of Google already comes installed right out of the box. But also another use case was their customer kiosk portal. So when their guests would come into the resort, they had these Chromebooks that were available for them to check in and check out at their hotel whenever they wanted to. And that's very easily done with Chromebooks because it allows this concept of a single app kiosk mode. A single app kiosk is similar to your experience if you ever come to a Google office and you'll go in for guest registration. You'll see there's a single app kiosk is that guest registration app. You can't get to anything else on that device. You can only use that one app, and that's similar to this guest check-in check-out system. So that's another case, a use case for Chromebook with your existing install-based customers. Another interesting example is Chapters Health System, and now this is a case where we have a great example of an enterprise deployment of Chromebooks, where you don't need to have apps, Google Apps for work. You can, for example, use a virtualized app. In this case, they rolled out Zen app hosted apps, and they had a receiver on the Chromebook so that they could easily deploy a device to all of their healthcare providers. So they provide healthcare for the elderly, and they have nurses and caregivers who are constantly mobile. So what they need is an easy way to connect with the very sensitive information they have within their healthcare applications. And they provided that all through Zen App. So this is a great example of a customer who just doesn't have Google Apps at all, but is just using Google Apps as a access point to virtualize apps in the cloud. And so that's another great example of an existing customer using Chromebooks for work today. So then the question comes down to, how are you going to actually make money on Chromebooks? Well, for one, there's this concept of the white glove service. Now, with the white glove service, if you're not familiar with this, it wouldn't really be exactly what you're offering for deployment services for apps for work today, because it's really around packaging and bundling and setting up the Chromebook so that when the customer receives it, it's ready to go. There's first this concept of enrollment. So in the Chrome Management Console, which is effectively a tab within the Google Apps admin panel, there's this device management section where you can enroll devices. Now, that process is a manual process if you just let the customer do it. It takes somewhere between 3 and 15 minutes to enroll a device, where you or through a third party can automatically enroll those devices for them, so they automatically show up in the console with any kind of configurations that they want pre-configured out of the box. Also, you have this ability to etch the Chromebook as a service, where you have a laser etching device to put on their ID. There's also asset tagging and Wi-Fi configuration and bundling with any peripherals like Chromebook carts. And all these can come as part of a white glove service. It is an add-on to the Chromebook hardware and the Chromebook software. So besides the hardware margin, you also get margin on the Chrome device management license. And that's like I said, it's the part of the admin panel that you have in Google Apps for Work that allows you to manage your whole fleet of Chromebooks. And then finally, you have consulting and deployment services, very similar to you would have for Google Apps for Work. And also you can cross-sell your Google Apps Audit, your Google Apps Migration services. In fact, you can offer all of that together as a managed service. And they also have cross-sell and upsell opportunities. Like you can cross-sell and upsell SaaS subscriptions like Google Apps for Work and NetSuite, Salesforce.com, Workday, or any of these third-party SaaS subscriptions. And that's just going to be a natural fit for anyone who's using a Chromebook as a primary device. And of course, as we saw in our example with our customer reference with Chapter Health Systems, you have the opportunity to upsell virtualization software if they, for example, want to access legacy software in the cloud, such as their proprietary health management system, or could be Office, or whatever you want to access that's not currently available in the cloud. And finally, infrastructure development is another upsell opportunity. This is for partners who want to go in and see to extend their existing portfolio by offering a service to first do a site survey to see how effective their Wi-Fi infrastructure is today, assess how many access points they need and what sort of network, hardware, and software upgrades, and then help them through that process in much the same way you would implement Google Apps at Work. This is additional service you can add on specific to their wireless network infrastructure. So to get going, in any country where Chrome is available, you can go through your distribution partner, and now you can also access the Chrome, or you can sell the Chrome management license through your reseller console. And like I said, this is a great opportunity for partners, especially now as this business just starts getting going. And the partners that we got on board early in education, they had a huge advantage in terms of being the first mover. And that's exactly the opportunity you have today. So this presentation is meant to be very brief. If you have any questions, you can enter them on chat and I'll respond to them online. Okay, so I'll go open my chat. I don't see anyone, any questions so far, but I'll keep the line open for a few minutes. The Chrome Management Console is now on the reseller panel, available on the reseller panel today, if you're in the supported countries. And Yi, if you want to add any additional details, please do go ahead and jump in the group chat. If you look at the chat window, for those of you who don't know, haven't been on a Google Hangout on air, you go to the left-hand side and there's the blue button for the chat window. My colleague Yi just sent a link to the announcement, which will tell you where you can access Chrome management to be resold through the reseller panel. Yeah, so thanks, Davetree. So in terms of this bill as a launch, we're effectively, the one big difference for you in particular, since you're already an existing Chrome partner, is now you will be able to sell the management license through the management console. Question around certifications for Chrome partners. Yes, we are actually, we already have certification information online. We're expanding that, and we're working on that over the next few months. And so, yes, you will have existing part of your university content for credentials, and you have that already today. Now we're expanding that. So yes, it's not really a certification. We're now referred to as a credential, one, and two, we're going to have a refresh of that sometime later this year. Very good questions. Please keep them coming. I'll keep the, unless I get any questions, I'll keep the lines open for a few minutes just in case, since everyone's kind of waiting online just in case someone asks something interesting. Yes, we'll make the presentation deck available through GWC. And Yi, if you can help me, I believe we should have the link to that. Question, can other partners hijack a Chrome Management Console renewal? In other words, so you could have competitive partners effectively renewing an existing customer. No, so there's no lock-in to a reseller. There's exceptions to that with CFM. There is sort of a 1-year effective lock-in with a reseller, but with Chrome for Work, for example, those that bought in education, they might buy from 2 or 3 different resellers. So there is effectively no lock-in. Yes, it'd be the same as apps work, effectively. All very good questions. Well, keep online. So you got another question. Hardware is not available through the reseller portal. Still need to go through distributors. So the hardware itself, you're not going to buy hardware through the reseller portal. We're not, as of today, we're not reselling, for example, the Chrome Pixel through your reseller portal. You still need to go to either to an OEM, to a distributor to get the hardware. But now you can get the management license through the reseller portal. The deck will be available through Google for Work Connect. And Yves, could you do me a favor and just share that link to the deck right now? Because that should be, I believe, in the announcement. Thanks, Yves. So if any other questions, please keep them coming. Okay, so if we need to process Chrome license for nonprofit, will we be able to do that? Yeah, actually, that's a good question. On the nonprofit SKU, is the nonprofit SKU going to be available in the management console? I'm not sure. I know we have the work SKU available. I'm not sure if the nonprofit SKU is available. I'm thinking it's probably not because nonprofit not yet. Yeah, thanks. Very good question. Nonprofit's not SKU is not yet available. And for those of you who want to get access to the presentation, you'll click on the link and sign in. Let's see. I'm not going to be able to do that because I'm in my personal account. But you'll see the pitch deck right there. Go into the chat, and Geese helped us by pointing us to the right link on GWC. Okay, we'll keep the lines open for a few minutes. Are there any expected entry requirements to get going with licensing? For example, if you're just starting out in that field. Yeah. So in terms of perhaps you can clarify whether there's any specific entry requirements to allow people to start the reselling the Chrome management license within the reseller console. Yeah, Yi just sent that link right there to tell you about the requirements. Okay. Any other questions? You would have seen the answer to the question regarding any requirements, requires a business plan, 5 Chromebooks and licenses, so purchasing 5 Chromebooks and licenses, and signing the Chrome product schedule. Okay, any other questions? I'll stay online for a couple more minutes in case there's any questions. All right, so if there's no more questions, we'll go ahead and finish off the session. Oh wait, see more questions? Just completing the partner support request, and Australia is not listed for CMC. Yi, can you double check that with me, whether Australia is a supported country? My understanding is it is, but correct me if I'm wrong. Yes. Oh, it's not listed currently. Okay, and so therefore, we will not be able to resell. Yeah, so Australia partners will not be able to resell the management license. Got it. Okay. So as of now, Australia is not part of the launch to allow them to resell management console through the reseller console. But you can still sell it through distributors, as you pointed out. Okay. We'll stay in line while we still have people here. Any other questions? Okay, good question. How long will it take to process a license? Right now, it seems like it takes a while to get the license when we need them. Uh, yeah, in terms of processing the license with the reseller console, is there any lag time? It's immediate. So similar to your experience with the booking and apps license. Great. Any other questions? For some Sendel, if a Chromebook has a hardware issue, the customer will call you first. How do we handle replacements in such situations? Can the hardware be replaced, and how fast is the turnaround time? So you'll need to work with your distributors in order to work out the hardware replacement. And so I'd really defer that question to the local distributor because I can't tell you what the lead time will be. And as you pointed, anything software related, you can contact Google support. So in terms of non-Google staff, we only got a couple of people left. Any other questions? Okay, so any other questions from Sindel or uh, or Greg or Desiree? All right. So I'll just give it another minute in case you have any other questions. Okay. Waiting for the partner program team to approve my Chrome for work to reflect in my resale console. Okay, cool. Good news. Send any more questions? Okay, thanks, Sindel. And Desiree, I'm not actually sure if you're a partner or a Googler. Your profile is could be either way. So Desiree, do you have any questions? All right. If that's it, thanks a lot. Okay, thanks, Sindel, and thanks, Yi, so much for your help. Okay, goodbye, everyone. Thanks for your time.